Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Endzone Enthusiast. Yes, after one day of trying the Dirge's account, we have decided, you know what? We used the name last year, Endzone Enthusiast. We just have a different channel. It's kind of weird. I have three different channels. I have one that's amusement park gate based, 125 roller coaster. I have one for my business, Creative Interpretations Photography. And this one was always my personal account. Last year, we turned the photography one into Endzone Enthusiast. This time, I figured, why do I need a personal account? So that's the Endzone Enthusiast. But either way, you are here, and we are here to talk NFL football, people. And yesterday we did our power rankings. And if you want to check that, make sure you, at the end of the video, you're going to see the power ranking video there. So check out how we predicted the power rankings before the season started. All right. So yesterday was the Philadelphia-Dallas game. If you watch that episode, I knew I was going to be a little bit behind because I was trying to get all the logistics ready, had to find my logos and all that kind of stuff there that you can now see. So because of that, I said I picked the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Dallas Cowboys. All right, so right here, NFL kickoff game, boom. And there it is. We picked it yesterday, the Eagles for the win. Now, let's talk about this game. Not the way I saw it going. As an Eagles fan, I was actually disgusted by what Jalen Carter did. Really, 6 seconds into the game, he didn't even play it down, and you spit on an opponent in front of national TV. It really shows that there's a reason why you dropped so far in the draft there, and we were able to get you with the 25th pick or whatever it was. Classless act. Now, yes, we do see that Dak actually started it, and I think Dak should have a little responsibility to it for it too. But as an adult, he spit in the direction of Carter. Carter spit on Dak. So either way, that changed the entire complexion of the game because now all of a sudden Dallas could do something that nobody thought they could do, run. But really, my concern right now with the Eagles. So, well, let's talk with Dallas first. So Dallas, did it better than I thought. They had those two great wide receivers. They were definitely using Ferguson again to do the tight end position. They definitely have the passing attack. The running attack kind of came out of nowhere, but it ended up wasn't really their undoing, but it kind of was their undoing with Sanders, Penn Stater, and ex-Eagle, Miles Sanders, coughing up the ball and, basically killing that drive. The reason why that's important was right after that, the game stopped for an hour because of lightning. And because of that, the game never got going again. It was basically nobody scored after that. The defenses, I like to think that the defenses stepped up, but the reality was CeeDee Lamb dropped 2 passes. So the Eagles get the victory, but I'm extremely nervous about our defense. Losing Josh Sweat and losing Williams on the line, that was a big deal. But the second they did it, I did not understand. I thought we were going to get another corner. I thought we were going to go out there and get a Pro Bowl corner or something like that because letting Slay go without having a backup plan was bad. I mean, Ringo's not going to be able to handle it. They were going after Jackson the entire game. The reality is we have one solid corner, and then we have a huge question mark in our secondary right now. Will somebody step up? You never know. But the reality is the Eagles got the victory, so I was right on that pick. But the reality was we escaped with that victory against Dallas. CeeDee Lamb does not drop 3 balls like he did. 2 technically, but that third one, if it hits you in the hands, I always go with the philosophy, you have one job. If it hits you in the hands, you should catch it, right? So right now we're 1-0, but let's talk about all the other games. And every team is playing this weekend, and there's a lot of marquee matchups. So let's go right now to our next one, which is the game tonight. We're recording this at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So in about 4 hours, you got the Kansas City Chiefs against the LA Chargers. Now, the Chargers are technically the home team, but this is in Brazil. So nobody really has a home team here. And if you look at Kansas City, they're raring to go. They want to wipe off the stink of that Super Bowl, and they want to go there and play some real football. They want to have all the receivers out there. They want to have the running backs out there. They got a lot of the guys are healthy. They do not have Rashid Rice because of stupidity. He's out for 6 games, but they're ready to go. Meanwhile, the Chargers have already had a really big injury earlier this year, which is really, it's funny listening to Grossi and Pernin and all those guys. It's funny that this lineman who went down really changes the outlook for the team. People aren't talking about them competing with Kansas City for the division. They're talking about Denver doing that. The Chargers kind of flying under the radar, and I really do like the Chargers. I'm not a big fan of Jim Harbaugh. Love John Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh, anybody who cheats in football, in college football, Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh, where they get a national championship, they get all the pride, they get all the glory, then they leave, and then that team has to deal with the issues. Not a fan. I think I'll say right off the bat, Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh, if you happen to stumble upon this channel, you're scumbags. You are losers. You are people who cheat. Both of you guys have cheated. You're paying Reggie Bush and all the stuff that went on with Michigan. You cheated. And then right before you're supposed to, be a man and deal with the consequences of your actions, you run to the NFL. Oh, no, I don't know what happened. I don't know. You're a scum. All right. You're a scumbag. All right. So I'm going to tell you right off the bat. I like the Chargers. I think your coach is a scumbag. And because of that, it pains me to say it, but it's going to be a tight game. But I think the Chiefs are going to win because they are champions. And they don't cheat. Well, no, Andy Reid does not cheat. Andy Reid does not cheat. So yeah, no. Good and bad. On this one, I got to go with the Chiefs. Even though they are the evil empire because they win so much, they're the new England Patriots. I just can't respect somebody like Harbaugh. And I feel bad because I like Herbert a lot. I like Zach McConkey. These guys are good guys, but I don't want to see any success from that Harbaugh. The other Harbaugh I like. John Harbaugh was the special teams coach over with the Eagles before he got this job with the Ravens. He's been here for 20, 30, 50 years. Got to be one of the longest tenured coaches, if not the longest tenured coach out there. And like I said, one Harbaugh good, the other one, you're another Chip Kelly to me. Just get out of my face. All right, so let's talk about that Sunday slate, people. Sunday slate is full, and the first one we're going to talk about is a huge matchup in the NFC South. How often can we say there is a huge matchup in the NFC South? But this is by far one of the weaker divisions because they have New Orleans and Carolina in there. So it really is a two-dog race. And for them to come right out of the gun and have this matchup, the first game of the year, is huge. Now, this is over in Atlanta, so you always got to give it a couple points there. Now, Atlanta, they got the skill players, and they have a solid defense. Their defense is pretty solid. Skill player-wise, you've got probably one of the best running backs besides Saquon and Derrick Henry. Next guy is Robinson, Bijan Robinson. This guy is just fantastic. They have decent wide receivers, but you have Michael Penix. Notice I stressed Penix Jr. as your quarterback, which people are thinking are better than Kirk Cousins, and he may be, but he only played 4 or 5 games last year. He's a rookie going up against Baker's got to bake. And like I mentioned yesterday, one of my top 3 teams, number 2 is Tampa. I love the Bucks. Just so in case you didn't know, Eagles by birth. I lived in the Philadelphia area. I grew up with Philly sports. Tampa Bay by love. I love that area. I love that team. I love the creamsicle uniforms. And Buffalo because that's where my daughter lives. And how do you not like Josh Allen? And talk about the bad news Bears. With the Jim Kelly years, 4 years in a row, no Super Bowl victories. Crazy. So going into this here, you've got a lot of people looking. Even Grossi went with Atlanta for this because of the offensive lineman who is down for 4 to 5 weeks with Tampa, which is a huge loss. But I really think the skill players of Baker thrown to Evans, even if Godwin's not there, they got that new wide receiver that's going to be, he's a first-round draft pick. You also have Bucky as a running back, and I really just think that Tampa Bay is the better team. So Bucks are going to grab the victory in this game. All right. Next one we're going to have here is the battle for Ohio, and this is kind of a little bit more challenging than I would have thought. So you got the Cincinnati Bengals who re-signed their offense. Their offense looks amazing. All right. You got Chase. You've got Higgins. You've got Gesicki. Most people forget about Gesicki, but you got Gesicki there. Great wide receiver. You got Chase Brown as your running back there. And, of course, you've got probably one of the best quarterbacks. It's always arguable who's best, but a top 3, top 5 quarterback all around with Burrow. So you got those guys on the offense. The problem is they got Trey Hendricks back, which is great. He's a sack leader, but the defense has not changed at all, and their defense was one of the worst last year. And they also have very slow starts. But you're also going against Cleveland with, I think Flacco is their starter. Judy, I think, is their lead receiver. The running back is by committee at this point. They do have a decent defense with Miles getting re-signed and all that stuff there. But really, unless it's going to be another situation where you have a really slow start or injuries, I really think the Kitties are going to go meow, and they're going to top out in Ohio. The next one is a game that I'm kind of like, who put this matchup together for the first game of the year? Because there's not a real rivalry with this. A lot of these, I think because they went in a rivalry with Baltimore and Buffalo, they kind of, because a lot of divisions are going divisional heads. But in this case here, they're putting Miami against Indianapolis. So Miami, really in the hot seat, McDaniel. Is Tua going to be healthy? That's always been the question with him, because I think if he gets one more shot to the head, his career's got to be done. You can't sustain that many head traumas, and have a future as you get older. And then Tyreek Hill, is he going to be the same guy there? I mean, he left that locker room disgraced, to be honest with you, at the end of the season saying, I don't know if I want to be here anymore. You're under contract. You took their money. You're there. All right. So he has to win back the locker room. And then also, dude, your game is speed. You're going to get slower. So Miami's got a lot of question marks. Even on their defense, they're kind of an average defense. But they're going against Indianapolis, who would have thought Daniel Jones would be their quarterback this year? That's how bad they miffed on Anthony Richardson. Sorry about the yawning there. I was watching the Eagles game late last night. It didn't get done until after midnight up here on the East Coast. But Daniel Jones is there. They do have talent. They have Jonathan Taylor, who is fantastic there. You got a great receiving core. So is Daniel Jones going to be able to resurrect his career? How is this going to play out here? Well, it's a 50-50, but I'm going to say the Fish are going to win this one. The Dolphins are going to take this game. And I think it's just because it's just a gut feeling. I wish I could say, logically, the math says this. I can't say that. I'm just saying the reality is my gut's telling me Indianapolis is going to be one of the weaker teams this year. I could be mistaken. Miami could be in worse shape than I think, but I'm going to go with the Fish. The next one is a game matchup here that you got Carolina going to Jacksonville. And these are two teams that, who knows? Carolina at this point there, we're hoping that Bryce Young takes that next step. And that's the key. Is he going to take that next step, or is he going to fall back into his old patterns? All right. They lost Thielen, who actually was their top wide receiver, but they did a lot in the draft to address that. They also addressed the line issues. So up front in there, in the in the trenches, they're going to be better. And the wide receivers going to be there. And Chuba Hubbard is just a really good, underrated running back. Meanwhile, you got Jacksonville, who they went with Travis Henry. They have a brand new Duval coach coming in. Is Trevor Lawrence, this is his year. If he doesn't, he got the contract extension. He is supposed to be a marquee quarterback, but he hasn't been showing it yet. So he really needs to step up here. So to me, this is another 60-40, 50-50. My gut is saying it is a tough matchup, but I'm going to go with the Jags. And the reason why I'm going to go with the Jags is I got to believe that the new coach is going to throw some wrinkles into this, because he was the offensive coordinator at Tampa Bay, who did a lot of really cool stuff with Baker and Bucky. I'd like to think that the offense is going to do that. And I think on paper, the Jacksonville defense is better than Carolina's. So that's what that comes down to there. The next one is another one of those matchups. You're like, why are we doing the matchup now? And it is the Las Vegas Raiders against the New England Patriots. So this is kind of neat because a lot of teams, while last game, Carolina and Jackson would go either direction, everybody's saying that the Vegas and Raiders and the New England Patriots are going to be successful this year. They're going to be taking it to the next step. When it comes to the Raiders, you got an overhaul. You have Geno Smith as the quarterback. You got Pete Carroll. He did it 15 years ago. So I have more hatred for Harbaugh than I do for Carroll at this point there. The fact that he's still in the NFL is good. But, you have Pete Carroll, new coach. You've got the new running back. You got Geno Smith. You got a lot of new things. You still got Crosby, wrecking up on the defense. But you got a lot of question marks there. How are they going to mesh? You got a lot of veterans. I mean, Pete Carroll's 98? But how are they going to mesh? Meanwhile, you got New England, which is going to be reborn because of Mike Vrabel, who should have got the job right away. The fact that they had that 1 year off with that defensive coordinator, we promised him the job. Well, things change, dude. Things change. If you don't have a signed contract that said this is what's going to happen, Mayo should have been out. But now you got Vrabel. You built up. You got the left tackle who will die for his quarterback there. You've got a lot of positives. You got Diggs. Diggs is now the wide receivers. So Drake May's got a lot of nice parts. So basically, you got to figure out, is the veterans going to gel better or is the youth going to take it there? And my gut is saying this is a true 50-50, but I got to go with Lady Luck. I'm going to say Vegas. I think Geno is more seasoned. I think the running back is going to be pretty much unstoppable. And I think that's how that's going to play out here. But it really is a 50-50. Arizona against New Orleans. Now, Arizona, every year, I'm kind of like Rossi. It's kind of funny. He always picks them to be a dark horse. And I look on paper at Kyler Murray. Gannon was our defensive coordinator. You look at Marvin Harrison Jr. You look at James Conner, who just seems every year to be, pounding the ball and just gaining yards. And you figure eventually Arizona's got to break through. Meanwhile, they're going up against the New Orleans Saints, who they did not anticipate. I guarantee you that when Kellen Moore took the job, leaving the Eagles as offensive coordinator to take the Saints job, he did not realize that Carr was going to leave. So he's got a situation there with Spencer Ratcliffe and the 97-year-old rookie. And who knows how this team's going to be. You do have Kamara still. You still got Cameron Jordan's been there for decades. You still have those guys, but Olave is going to be back. But I really, what good is Chris Olave if the quarterback can't get him the ball? So this one, I'd be really shocked if this is not the cards to go. I think not the Colts. It should be the Saints. Sorry. I think the Saints are so bad that they got a chance of winning maybe 2 games this year. That's my thoughts on that. Now, the next one is it's funny. People are calling it the revenge game. Pittsburgh against the New Jersey Jets. I have New York, but it's New Jersey because of Aaron Rodgers. But I don't know where the revenge would be for Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers got paid. Aaron Rodgers did got paid for 2, played 1. I don't see a revenge factor for Aaron Rodgers. Why would he be going after the Jets? Meanwhile, the Jets are like, we spent a lot of money and we got you Devontae Adams. Everything. We fired Robert Saleh for you. I think the revenge aspect is going to be on the Jets. But let's talk about the 2 teams. Now, I've never been a big Mike Tomlin fan. And it's funny because I've always been not anti-Pittsburgh, but I haven't seen – I'm a Philly guy. That's the other side. That's the Steel Boys on the other side of the state. Nobody cares about. But this year I went to Kennywood a lot. I checked out how Pittsburgh's put together, and I really like the city. And I do not hate the Steelers as much as I do. I'm not a fan of Mike Tomlin. I just don't like him. I would love for them to. I love Bill Cowher. I love Chuck Noll. I love the Steel Curtain. Love the roller coaster Steel Curtain. But I'm just not a big Mike Tomlin fan. There's something about him just rubs me the wrong way. But with that being said, he is a decent coach. I think he needs to be able to get them to the next level. They either need to fall apart this year or make a push. I think they're trying to make a push. I definitely love Watt. TJ Watt is amazing. Freiermuth, another Penn Stater, always got with Penn State. So on paper, kind of like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Meanwhile, the Jets, they're rebuilding. And this is, I do like the fact that Justin Fields is actually getting a fair shake right now. Because if anybody has a problem, it should be Justin Fields with Pittsburgh because of the fact that they gave up on him. Like, he did pretty good the first 4 or 5 games. And they're like, oh, Russell Wilson's ready. You're on the bench. Really? All right. So at least Fields is going to get a clean slate with the Jets. They still have Garrett Morris there as a wide receiver. I think Breece Hall is a much better running back than showed last year. And you got Sauce Gardner there. So really, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh getting the win. But the reality is the Jets, I think, are going to be a better team this year than they were the last couple. They purged most of the Rodgers. I think maybe Lazard is still there. I think Lazard might still be there. Let me know in the comment section there. But besides that, I really think that Pittsburgh's going to take this one. The next one is a battle of the NFC East. And this one, I wrote these about 3 days ago. I got the sheet. I was in my little sheet here. And I wrote them 3 days ago. And I've been thinking a lot about it. But I'm kind of not changing. I'm not going to change. But this is the New York Giants. And notice I give them the respect to New York Giants. My son-in-law is a Giants fan, which isn't great being Eagles fan, but yeah, I give him a little bit more respect than the New Jersey Giants. Going against the Washington Commies. Yesterday, I called them the Commanders when I did the power rankings. Niceness is done, you're the Commies. So going into this, it's Washington. It's got to be Washington, right? You got Jaden Daniels had an amazing season and stuff like that. Scary Terry re-signed. You picked up Metcalf. Your defense is as solid as it was. Your coaches, 2-time, they were 1 game away from the Super Bowl. So you got to go with them when you're going against the Giants, who have Russell Wilson again. And I think they also have Winston, who's been there, been in the league forever, Jameson Winston. But they also have Dart. And Jason Dart was just fantastic in the preseason. So you've got that. So really the reality should be Washington's going to run all over them. Giants are a bottom feeder team. But here's the thing that I've been thinking about. That defensive line, Abdul Carter, Penn Stater, just like Micah Parsons, somehow our pass rushers are amazing coming out of Penn State. Number 33 last week, I can't remember his name right now, but he was wrecking havoc against Nevada. Penn State's really good at edge rushers. And Abdul Carter with a really good pass rush before, if the offensive line is not as solid as they were last year, and they were not great last year, but if they took a step back, Jaden Daniels' sophomore slump might have a problem. So I'm going to say the Commies are going to get the win, but I'm not thinking it's going to be as blowoutish as I did when I put it down. All right, if that makes sense. So next one here is, and these are all Sunday games, guys. That's how crazy this is. Tennessee Titans against the Denver Broncos. Now, if you're listening to this, and if you're listening to anybody in the news, you would not even know that the number 1 pick went to Tennessee. Cam has not been getting any respect as the number 1 pick, but he has been solid in preseason, and he is ready to take this team and lead this team. And this team actually isn't as bad. I mean, they have a great running attack on that end there too. Their defense has always been there. The problem with Tennessee last year was when you had Mayo Man there, Will Lutz, he would make 2 or 3 catastrophic mistakes every game, which would really change the projection of the game or just kill the game. He's gone. So as long as their quarterback, the rookie, the number 1 draft pick, is able to not make those big mistakes, they should be in the games. But the problem is they're going against the Denver Broncos, who I don't think anybody with any credibility does not say that they're the best defense in the NFL. They are so stacked. Last year they were stacked, and they overstacked for this year. So with that being said, I'm not going to beat around the bush here. It's going to be the top D is going to take the W. Denver's going to win this against Tennessee, but I'll be curious to see how Tennessee reacts. Is it going to be a blowout or is it going to be close? The next one we got here is a NFC West showdown with a lot of question marks. You've got San Francisco 49ers, who were decimated with injuries. And don't get me wrong, I'm okay with that. as an Eagles fan, got to kind of clear the path there. But McCaffrey went down. Ayuk went down. Samuels was down. Brock Purdy was even injured a game, I think. Going up against Seattle, who basically just sent their quarterback, Geno Smith, out and brought in Sam Darnold, who had an amazing year last year, but was it a fluke or not? So this game's got a lot of question marks. Purdy now got paid, which he deserved to get paid. Is McCaffrey going to be healthy? They picked up Brian Johnson III as a backup or as a complementary piece with McCaffrey to try to soften the load. You don't have Debo anymore, so are your wide receivers going to pick it up there? Is Kittle getting older? A lot of wear and tear. I mean, he's hurting for money so bad that he's doing Little Caesars commercials. So how's that going to shape up there? And Seattle, like I said, the quarterback's the most important position. Is Sam Darnold legit, or is it time to quit? Well, it's another toss-up, but I'm putting my faith in Purdy. I think San Francisco has a little bit more because you got to remember, you lost not Debo. Who'd you lose there? You lost your top wide receiver with Seattle. You can tell I do these live. I just can't always remember who they are. Metcalf. So Metcalf is gone. So now you replace him with Cooper Kupp. Is there anything left in there with Kupp, or are people going to be able to double team the lead receiver? That's what we're going to go with. I'm actually saying it's going to be San Francisco. Now, this is the game of the week, guys. There's 2 games of the week, but this one got a lot more interesting. It's the Detroit Lions, who have won the last few years the NFC North and had an amazing team last year. Actually took the division with 14, 15 wins. Fantastic. Against the Green Bay Packers, who just picked up Micah Parsons. So, and it's in Green Bay. Now, if you look at the past, Detroit has beat up Green Bay, especially in Lambeau. They got Jordan Peterson. They finally got a number 1 wide receiver because they did spend the money, and they actually got Golden, who is their number 1 draft pick, first time in like 10, 20 years that they picked a wide receiver as number 1. And the defense should be pretty solid. The thing is, you think with Micah Parsons, it's going to take him to the next level, but Micah Parsons actually is hurt. He has a back injury. He has to get epidural. Will he play this week? We don't know. So going into this game, you got Micah Parsons, and that's going to be amazing, but is he going to play? The problem with Detroit is you lost your 2 coordinators, and the reason why that matters is the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl, then lost Gannon and the guy at Indianapolis. And when they lost them halfway through the season, their entire team fell apart. They lost 7 in a row. So I'm wondering how Detroit's going to react not having those coordinators here. Now, with that being said, it's game of the week, but I still think Detroit has the Packs number. I think, the rookie's got, welcome to the NFL moment. If Hutch comes back, which it sounds like he's coming back this game, you're going to have a pass rush all over Jordan Love. I think that's how it's going to break down. And now the next one here, and we are almost at the end of Sunday. There is a lot of Sunday. Boom. But with that being said, this matchup is very interesting too. The Houston Texans against the LA Rams. Everybody's going divisional. Everybody's going rivals. And then you got 2 teams that play each other once every 30 years. Houston Texans won their division last year, so you can't do that. But CJ Stroud did have a sophomore slump and a lot of injuries. Even right now, Mixon is hurt, so they're actually going to be going with Chubbs. Nick Chubbs is going to be the running back that day, coming back off a lot of injuries from last year with Cleveland. So we'll see how Houston is there. Going against the Rams, who on paper, Devontae Adams is a great upload there. Verse just blows up the offensive lines on that end. Their defense is really solid. The question is going to be Matthew Stafford's back. Is it going to hold up in this game? Is he ready to play now? And how will it go the entire year? Because without him, you got Garoppolo as your backup. I don't know if anybody wants that. So even though they got the problems, Houston, you got a problem. I'm going to say the Rams are going to win this. All right. I just think the firepower that they have is going to be, and then that defense, I think, is going to bust through that line and beat up Stroud pretty good. Now for the big game. Baltimore against Buffalo. Guys, this is the bridesmaid against the bridesmaid. Every year, it's between Buffalo and Baltimore. Who's going to beat the Chiefs? And the answer is always neither one of them. But this is also the battle of the last two MVPs, Lamar Jackson and, of course, Josh Allen. So this is over in Buffalo, which is always an advantage going into Orchard Park. However, not so much because the weather is not going to be a major factor here. So Baltimore, they got the resume. You got Lamar, you got Derrick Henry, you got Zay Flowers. You do not have Tucker, which is probably a positive right now. No distraction there. Going up against Josh Allen, James Cook, and then Josh Allen. So this should kind of lean towards Baltimore because they are the regular season champs. But my gut is telling me, and also they are one of my favorite teams, the Buffalo Mafia gets the win here. I think the excitement coming in, I think that Derrick Henry's going to be a little bit slower this year. He's still going to be a load. But with that being said, I just think Josh Allen is just in the flow. He's got, Haley's now his girlfriend or engaged. I don't know which one. I think engaged. He's got the woman. He's got the team. He's got the city on his back. I think it's going to be Buffalo. And last but not least, believe it or not, we got Monday Night Football. Who else is so old like me that you remember when Monday Night Football used to be the big matchup? Well, that's not the case here because it is the Minnesota Vikings against the Chicago Bears. Now, this could be a really good game or this could be a snooze fest. You got Minnesota, who is starting a rookie quarterback. He didn't play at all last year. He played maybe one snap and got hurt in preseason game number 1, who has an amazing lineup against Caleb Williams with the genius offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. And how's this going to go? It's Caleb Williams. He hasn't looked amazing in preseason. Meanwhile, JJ, you just don't know what you're getting there. So my gut's telling me it's a new season, but the same old Bears. I think there's so much talent, with the wide receivers and the running backs with Minnesota that it's going to basically teach Ben Johnson a lesson that, hey, Caleb Williams got to pick up or shut up soon. So, but with that being said, let me boom. On Tuesday, we're going to let you know how we did here, but just one more time, Philadelphia, I picked it. You can check, go back. When this is done, there's going to be a video. Check it. I picked them. So my winners are going to be Kansas City over the Chargers, Tampa Bay taking out Atlanta, the Bengals beating up on the Doggies, Miami, 50-50 here, but I think Miami's going to beat Indianapolis. Jacksonville's going to take care of Carolina. Vegas is going to beat New England in another 50-50 there. Arizona is going to beat up on New Orleans because everybody's going to beat up on New Orleans. Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers is going to beat the Jets. Washington is going to win against the Giants, but the Giants are going to beat them up pretty good. Denver is going to take out Tennessee. San Francisco is going to beat Seattle. Detroit's going to beat Green Bay. Sorry, Grossi. Rams are going to beat Houston. Buffalo is going to take out Baltimore on Sunday night. And then finally, Minnesota is going to beat Chicago. So we're doing this. Every Tuesday, we do our results. Every Wednesday, we do our power rankings. And every Thursday, before the first game, we're going to give you our predictions. So that's what we're doing all season. So once again, fly, Eagles, fly. Baker's got to bake. And Bills, just keep doing what you're doing.